And welcome back to Choice Men, everybody. Sam, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good.
How are you?
Doing fantastic. Okay, so we are here. It's Saturday. It's kind of a big day.
It's rainy.
It's rainy. I guess today isn't really a big day, but this episode is kind of a big deal. So we recorded this episode 2 weeks ago, correct?
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Yeah, and 2 weeks ago when we were done recording and Sam had left, we went on with our day. I went to edit the video and was like, this audio is horrible. It was like double audio the whole time, and I was like, we can't post this. So we're back. We are recording again. However, in between 2 weeks, there was a week where we didn't record, and it's kind of a big deal. So
Big things happening.
big things happened. I am now a proud father of a beautiful daughter. Her name is Dallas Ray Higgins, and I'm not going to explain why her name is Dallas on this episode. Maybe if you guys really want an episode where I'm explaining it, that's fine, but it's on Facebook, so you can find that on my personal page, or most of you already know that. But yes, that's why we did not record last Saturday, because on Friday, last Friday, baby was born, and so Saturday morning we were at home, obviously. So that was fantastic. But we're back at it. Baby and Bazin are not here currently. They are at her mom's house. So it's pretty chill here. But also, if you notice, welcome to home renovation time again. You would have seen a different angle. So the 2 times we recorded this episode now, there have been 2 different shot angles. This shot angle is because we're changing a bunch of stuff. So if I were to show you around the room, you'd be like, wow, that's a party. So anyways, glad to have you. Glad to have you too. Glad to be back. So
Glad to be here.
that's good that you're glad to be here. Otherwise we'd be having problems. So this episode is episode 54, and it is still the RGT review. So Raggants Got Talent, which happened 4 weeks ago, I think. So it's not as fresh, but we still have the show notes from last time, and we still thought it'd be good to talk about it. So this is for anybody that cares about stuff like this. And the stuff is community events, or how to run an event, or how to, how to get your community, how to be involved in your community, how to get stuff done like that. Or if you just like hearing things that went well about stuff, or hearing things that didn't go so well about other things. So we do have an anchoring Bible verse, which is 1 Corinthians 10:31. And this episode is kind of weird to have a verse for, but we thought that it was still worth it. So whether therefore you eat or drink or whatever you do, do all to the glory of God. So again, simple verse, but still obviously impactful for what we're trying to communicate today.
Really sets the tone for everything you try to tackle.
Yeah, that's right. And excellence in craft is worship. So we want to be good at what we do, for the glory of God, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit more. So what is Raggants Got Talent, Sam?
So every year there is a talent show that the school puts on for the Raggants and families of Raggants, to have a bit of fun, show off any talent they might have, or go to watch your friends if they're Raggants as well.
Yeah.
And it's always been a good time, whether or not it's ran smoothly or not. That's a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But it is a talent show, and loosely on how it's actually kind of run as like a strict talent show.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people sing songs, a lot of people do funny skits. So
yeah, we are definitely.
It's kind of like a production show.
Yeah, there's been arguments that we should call it a variety show. I don't like that because there's no offense to anybody who's participating in it, but we don't actually really have very much variety. We have a lot of music, which,
Great.
and that's the thing that's a whole episode in and of itself, which is actually great that we have a lot of music because we, at the school is big on music. You have to take it. I say have to, I enjoyed it, but you have to take music the whole time you're at the school. It's not an elective. It is a required class. And I think it's always going to be like that. I think that's good. But that means that there's no escape from it. There's people singing while they're doing dishes after an event. There's always singing. There's always people learning how to play the piano or play the guitar or do the drums, whatever. So like, we are a musical school, but I also don't really want to call it the music show. So like, I have ideas for next year for some people who I know they have some of the talents that then it's like, well, how do you get that on stage? Right. So we had a year where the Walker family, they did like a dribbling act on stage. And that was great because you can't show people that you're good at basketball. It's hard to do that on stage.
On the talent show.
Right.
Without being like really weird.
Yeah. Now Insane Shane, he's a YouTuber, but he's got the best mouth on the internet, and he catches marshmallows from his friend. They do other stuff too, but that's kind of what made them famous. Was he was throwing this guy marshmallows like 50 yards away, and the guy was catching them. So they did it on America's Got Talent. The guy was like up in the stands throwing him marshmallows. So like, you could do that,
right?
But you actually have to be good enough to do that. And we've had some magic. It was more like, haha, they're cute. Like, not really. I'd say this year's talent show was the best overall of like seeing talent, but it was all pretty much music. We had a little bit of dancing, which is great.
Yeah. Tap dancing is very cool to see.
That's right. So we're talking about it on a discipleship podcast, more specifically because we're talking about how it was run, and we think that young men should be able to run things. So I ran the talent show. Now, the reason I ran the talent show, and I can't remember if did I spend time looking this up last time? I think I did.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So let me see if I can find it. But a couple years ago, maybe it must have been last year. We had an episode about the talent show, and I, kindly said on there that I could run it better. And Sonia Sar, thank you very much for letting me run it. She had been running it for the last couple years. And she said, well, if you think you can run better, go ahead. Totally. And it wasn't like oh, if you think you can do it better. It was yeah, sure, totally. Go ahead and try that out and see how it goes, because she has other things to do. Like, there's plenty of other ways that she could be spending her time. So, I said, yeah, I think I could do that. And so I had some ideas. I had some interesting, I had some takes that then I tried this year on some other things. That's interesting. I don't see it, but I know we talked about it. That is interesting. So anyways, I made a statement on the internet. Okay, here we go. Are you not entertained? So that was March 15th of 2025. We did a little review. That episode was 1 hour and 54 minutes. Sorry.
Yikes.
Sorry about that. We're going to not do that this episode. So I made a big claim, backed it up, obviously this year, that I could run it. And I pretty much ran it solo. So that is not without the help of a particular thing that we'll talk about in a little bit. But pretty much ran it solo. It was, yes, it was exhausting and also super fun. And totally I'm going to do it again next year, but with some new changes, and maybe I'll kind of allude to those things as we go. So
So what was the biggest thing that you, I guess the biggest difficulty
Yeah.
of organizing the whole thing?
The biggest difficulty of organizing the whole thing is dress rehearsal. There are a lot of little details getting to people, but that's typical. Dress rehearsal is also typical, but it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare every time. So I had considered, trying to do dress rehearsal at a different day, maybe. But then I just was like, yeah, I think we'll probably be fine. And I had tried to do enough pre-work to get, you know, to get the, to try and get our, like,
And everything to kind of run smoothly.
get it to run smoothly, but also to get our, get our our actors, they are actors, but get our performers some feeling comfortable, and then getting our sound tech the stuff he needed before he needed it, which went better than years before, but like I picked up the stagehands a day before. And that was an oversight on my part, and also some level of like I was trying to do some other stuff. Plus, the stagehands needed some help. They didn't know what a monitor was, or what a signal box, like an outbox, is for the guitars to plug in that then goes to the sound system. Like there are some complexities with that, and so that did not go very well. However, I had been sitting down in the front row trying to help answer people's questions. And then about like 3 acts in, I was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I went to the back so I could also talk to Grant, see if he needed stuff. And it started to go more smoothly because people had to kind of figure it out for themselves a little bit. Now that kind of sounds rude, like why would you do that? But yeah, but it is kind of like, well, you just like with every play that we've ever had, you need people to proactively be figuring their own stuff out, not
kind of have a feeling like it's on them
yes
to get this good.
Yes. So you want them to kind of feel the pressure a little earlier. And so for next year, dress rehearsal is not going to be on the same day. And dress rehearsal is going to have to be a full run through, and we're going to do it twice. The first time is the one we're going to work out the kinks, where people might not know what they need or whatever, or something goes wrong. But it needs to be almost perfection at that point. And then we're going to run it again. No breaks. We're not stopping to help. We will take the notes during that, but the point of the first one is to get it figured out.
To get it. Yeah.
Because, and this is the thing that is weird about the talent show, is the hospitality piece for the people who are coming to watch. You still need some level of like it is a play. You've got your actors, you've got your,
Because like many years past, it's been kind of like a goofy thing you come and watch. And it's not going to be the most refined product, but it's a fun show to just come and watch, versus having a talent show like this. Kind of same thing. So you still have the goofy acts, you still have the fun music or the actual talent pieces, but it's actually like production value has increased.
Well, because if it's comedic and the kid's cute or whatever, like that's great. We do want that, but we do also want the event to feel official. So we're trying to grow our community. We're trying to get more people involved. And one of our MCs made a good comment. Shout out Job. He made a good comment where he was like, it was a joke, but he was like, there's two kinds of people that come to the talent show. The people that come to see the talent, and the people that come to laugh at the lack of talent. And it is pretty easy to get people to come to an event like that.
Right.
It's easier to get guests to come to a talent show rather than information night for the school. It's hard to get people to come to that because there's the chance that it's going to suck and that's going to be funny. Where it's, or if it's really good, it'll be good. So that's the thing, like making the programs. Yeah. I was trying to figure out the order that people were going to go in. And one of the problems with that is if there's an act that's kind of faltery where it's like, if this goes well, people are going to love it. If it goes poorly, we cannot have it being going into intermission or right out of intermission or the end. You have to sandwich it in between where like, if it's great, it's going to stand out. It's going to be awesome. If it's not so good, people are going to kind of forget about it. It's kind of like when you're writing a paper and you got to have your paragraph, like your points. You don't put your best point. It's not like 1, 2, 3. You do actually sequence them differently because people remember different things at different times.
Right.
So some of that is production value. And like Sonia also was doing that. It was like figuring, okay, which is going to be a good opening act, which is going to be a good act going into and then out of intermission, and then who's going to be the ending. I did not have a good... I had one piece that ended up, they could have been last. I put them first, and that was the money move. So the Lydens, I think upon further review, best act. They rocked it. It was Don't Stop Believing by Journey. It was Mama Lydon and all the boys. I thought that was cool. I thought that was great. They, from their audition, I was like, I think this would be a good intro. It was a perfect intro. So we let people indoors 15 minutes late, which is not great. Didn't like that. And neither did they. Neither did the audience so much. People were fine. It wasn't like, we hate you, we hate this place, you know. But it is, there is kind of an energy of not impressed so far. The moment the Lydens started playing the song,
everybody was back and watching.
Everybody was locked in. It was fantastic. They basically got a standing ovation. I mean, it was super loud, lots of cheering even while they were singing. So that rocked it. But I didn't have a strong ending piece. I didn't have what I really considered to be just the punch in the gut. That was perfect. So I sandwiched two things together. I sandwiched a surprise act that nobody knew. I mean, some people knew was happening because Ian posted on Facebook the surprise act. I'm like, what are we doing here? The school is advertising the surprise act. This is crazy. So whoever saw that kind of knew that was coming. But we had the SARS finish, and then it was like, oh, we're wrapping up for the night, blah, blah, blah. And then we had the surprise act. And I mean, the surprise act, because it was funny, it's the teachers, works.
Right.
But it's not, it's not exactly what I was looking for. I still think it went great. I don't think anybody thought that was weird. Now, the ending for this show took a little too long, in my opinion. If I'm really thinking back, now I'm feeling more negative about it. Like, I'm able to be more negative. And I think the ending was a little too long. And some of that is because I hadn't practiced with the MCs. For them to sell that it's the end of the show without actually selling that it's the end of the show, they did way too much. Hey, here's the thing, blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, you got to move to the next thing, but also still make it sound like we're ending.
Right.
Because at the very end, I had a video for everybody to watch. And it was, if I posted it on YouTube, I could probably get away with the title Fail Compilation, because it's clips of everybody's audition tapes. And shout out Ryan Rayburn. That is the best audition tape we have. Not because it's a good audition, but because it's so funny.
It is really funny.
The butt of a skunk. So funny. And it's dark. You can't even see him. Like, hilarious. But so, like, there was some level of, and I made that the night before.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I had been thinking about it for a couple days. I was like, would that be a good idea? Would that be good? Maybe. I don't know. It could be funny.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm just going to send it. I'm going to send it. We're going to make it. And then I'm going to advertise the next year's talent show at the end of that. Because next year is 10. So for me, this year was kind of like, let's try some things to know if I could do them again for the 10th. But like, I have big plans for the 10th. So we're talking
pyrotechnics now.
I'm hiring Sam to put explosive on the stage.
We're going full M80s.
In the building, yeah. Actually, Sam's going to figure out how to raise the entire top off of the church, and we're going to shoot the fireworks out. That'd be open air talent show. Actually, that'd be really cool.
That'd be insane.
But we can't do that. Not yet. But there's like, I'm thinking of even some level of a rebrand. So like, I have options for a different name.
Mm-hmm.
Raggants Got Talent is great. The RGT, it's got the T, it works. But maybe it's time for something else. I agree with the Raggants Got Talent might not actually be the best name because this might not actually be the best format for the show. So Raggants Got Talent. Yes, we do have Raggants that have talent. But maybe it's not quite a talent show. Maybe it's a different kind of show. Not a variety show, but maybe it is just a show because it's not actually a concert either.
Right.
And so I actually think becoming a little bit more vague in the name works. So I have options, and none of you are going to hear about it until next year. Well, you might hear about it during the beginning of the school year for next year. It's possible. You might, because I'm trying to advertise it earlier. I want people to come to it. I want more people to come to it than we can fit in the building. I mean, we had 400 cookies, I think, maybe over 400 cookies. They all were gone. So like, we're looking at 500, 600 cookies maybe for next year. The thing is, I had a goal of 200 cookies. But you know what's great? Here's a hack. Don't let people know how many cookies you have, because people will then continue to feel like, ooh, I should probably bring cookies. And then you're going to end up with a lot of extra cookies.
Right.
And then obviously people will eat them.
Take extra cookies.
Yes. So
always.
And this is the hospitality thing. This is the production value. I don't have $3 million to spend on the talent show. I have some effort and potentially more time and effort to put into it. And I actually have resources. I have different resources than we've used before. And so I think that is kind of the big, well, maybe we can still kind of talk about, what's working, what didn't work. So what worked is my resource. My resources worked for me very well. That's the only way I was able to get some of the stuff done. And we'll talk about that in the next segment, but that's a big thing that worked well. I think video auditions, I mean, I can't think of a reason why we would not do that again. It worked so well. Now, part of the problem is we had, not like, this is a good problem to have. We had the East Coast trip, and then we had spring break right after that. 2 weeks where people were probably not going to see each other. And so there was the deadline to get it in. I hadn't communicated early enough about the show because I was still trying to figure some stuff out. That's my bad. People adapted, though. We still had like 18 auditions, and we normally have about 18 auditions. Mm-hmm. We're going to try to raise that number a little bit next year. But it's a pretty good number for the size and for the length of show that we're going for. But video auditions work great because then the judges could judge it virtually, which means I could get people who there was absolutely no way in heck they were going to make it to a day of auditioning. I was able to get them to be able to show up to the school, or not show up to the school, but they were able to edit the auditions, review auditions and kind of judge them and score those. And then I had automated scores once all the comments and scores were collected. About 15 minutes after that, there was an automated thing that sent all that back to the auditioner. Not that they were in or not, just, hey, here's your stuff. We accepted everybody because we had about 18 and we could fit them into the show. So it was great. And they were all good enough. One or two that might have been like, well, there were one or two based off the audition. We were like, you can't do this. You can do another audition, but this is horrible. You gotta make it better. They made it better. There was one, I guess, that dropped out because they didn't actually have time to get back together again. And like, that is part of the thing. Like, either you're going to do it right and you actually have the time, or you don't have the time. And that's just how it goes. You're going to be okay with that. Video auditions went well. I had some automated things for cookies, and I think I over communicated to people. And it could still be better, but I think my communication was really good. And even some of my communication having some more production value to that. So like, there was an email that Layla sent out that I had made, that just it's more pretty. It's more like there's somebody, it's like an organization running it. The organization is me. I'm the only employee there, but trying to make the stuff, look nice, the programs and everything, like having that all be very cohesive as best I could. I had slides during the show that like had, you know, the QR code. I mean, my favorite thing about the show production was my online program. The online program was so beautiful. It was so gorgeous. Um, I loved it. I thought it was great, and that opens up a new realm of possibilities. We've never had an online program. Okay, what else can we do from that? Could we have a live stream of the talent show? Who'd want to watch that? Actually, a lot of the people that couldn't make it, they wanted the video after, and the video after is good, but you're missing the MCs and the live interactions. If we had it live streamed, could we have an online host? So,
Right.
if you're, think about like if you're at a baseball game, what's happening during commercial breaks? Well, the guys are going into the dugouts, they're getting their helmets on to go bat, they're putting on their batting gloves, they're drinking water, doing all that stuff. When you're at the game, you see that, and there's a bunch of other stuff happening that's out on the field.
Right.
Now, the problem is you don't see that on TV, you see commercials. Now, I don't know about you, but I would way rather watch the weird stuff that's happening out on the field.
Yeah. Like the salmon run.
Like the salmon run. Now, what is also happening right after those commercial breaks? For a very little bit, what you're seeing is the announcers who are calling the game. You get a little snapshot of them, but of just them up in their press box. Mm-hmm. Okay, we could have an online press box, basically, where we have another MC who's MCing for the show, but then we also have the MCs during the show.
During the show, yeah.
So there's possibilities that are basically endless. It's just, well, what are we capable of doing right now? What kind of gear do we have to be able to do that? I mean, we probably have the gear to do that. Do we have the manpower to do it? Maybe. Do we want to do that? That's another question. So there is sequencing too, because like I have some really big ideas for the show. Probably not a good idea to start for next year, because they're like, it takes a lot to get that kind of thing amped up and get the communication for that out. Yeah. But there's still some other stuff. So I think communication was good. I think a lot of it was really good.
So overall, biggest takeaway from the whole thing?
Biggest takeaway from the whole thing is that I think that, and this actually is a good tie into the next little part, is people need to realize you can really do a lot by yourself. Like, if you have the right tool, if you know how to use your tool, you can really actually run a lot of stuff solo and it not fully kill you. So, and the tie-in there is I used AI. So I specifically, I used Claude. I used Claude Cowork, and I used Claude Code and those are all within the same suite of things. But like, that's how I made the online program, and I made the online program in about 2 minutes. It did it in one shot, and then I just went through and I had it edit some stuff that I didn't like in terms of words or placement of things, but the visual, it did that all in one shot. Mm-hmm. And I was pretty impressed by that. So it did that. It made the program. It made me, and this is the thing, for the people that use AI, you'll know why this is cool. If you don't use AI, you'd be like, I don't understand what that means. It may, or if you use code or whatever, you understand what this is cool. I was vibe coding basically the program, and I didn't like where it was placing the Raggant logo. So I had like a faded logo on one of the sides. And I was like, I don't like it there. And I kept trying to tell it to move it in a certain place. I was getting annoyed. I was like, okay, build me an editor for the logo where I can drag the logo around. 5 minutes later, bam, I have an editor where I can drag the logo around where I want it, and then I can copy the CSS feed, which is the code location, put it back into there, and it'll put that into the program code. It didn't fully copy it perfectly over, but then I just told it to move it to the right one time, and it was perfect. It was right there. What? I had it make me my own editing software in like 5 minutes for one logo. Meaning then I was like, there's big applications here. I'm like, can I make a yearbook software for the school to use to edit edit the software. I'm like, well, that might be kind of cool. So there's lots of stuff. All the automation things, like don't know how to code, but I do know how to vibe code and ask for the stuff to get the code that I need. So like I was having it automate all those email automations that were going out to people. I had it make me the QR codes. I had to do a bunch of stuff because if I tried to make all those things by myself, the show wouldn't be happening even right now.
Right.
The show might happen in like 2 months, but it's actually a lot of work to get done and communicate with people and build those things. But you actually can automate a lot of that, and it's not impersonal. So there's a lot of personal touches that still went into that, and like not all of the words are AI that I just said, oh yeah, that's good. Like I still want it to feel like it's me. So I'm, editing and making what I need, but phenomenal tool. Learn how to use that. You really can do a lot by yourself, and you can do more than run a talent show.
Right.
Like you can do a lot more than that, as long as you know what you're doing. So, and we have a question in here. The bigger question is this: the future of how young men should work? What does stewardship of tools look like? I think that's kind of it's a little bit of a loaded question, right, if you really break it down, because, well,
if you can improve something in your workflow, in how you tackle project,
yeah,
it's like, okay.
I think on the personal level, if it's for your personal workflow, if you're not using it, you are kind of being dumb, or at least being hard-headed. So like I love seeing stuff on the internet where it's like buying a house or buying a condo in 1980, where it's like, yeah, you're right, I should probably buy whatever this is and not a computer, because that's never going to take off. Well, look where we are now.
Now you can buy a computer.
Now you can buy a computer. Computers took off. I mean, Apple is a $1 trillion company. So like, and obviously there's other big computer companies too, but just Apple specifically, like the first iPhone, that's game changing. What? What do you mean? We could have this, and we could talk to people. There's a screen. Like what? It's touch screen. What is this? That's crazy. That's crazy. And where we are now, I'm recording this footage on a phone with Bluetooth. What is Bluetooth? What? How does that work? There's all these things that like people, if you didn't adopt it, you ended up adopting it later because it's so valuable to what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Are there morality things that you could do poorly with AI? 100%. 100% you can sin with AI. And I think that there are some professions, I think pastoring, for example, if you are a pastor who is asking AI to write you your sermons, and then that's what you're
logically sound with the Bible.
Yeah, and like that's what you're preaching off of. No, I think that's wrong. I do think that if you're a pastor doing more research, adding the tool of AI to your research and adding it to a weaponized, you argue against me based off this book, or you argue against me based off these resources, and you go research that, and then you argue against my point. That's great. That's great. And then you're still creating the things, though. You're still functioning well. I think if you're writing all your books with AI, like just like the AI is writing your book, yeah, probably no. Like there is a point to authorship being from a person. Right. There is a tangible thing there. However, if you've got resources that you want to make into a pamphlet, so you give AI a big book, you're like, make me a little pamphlet out of this. It's going to use all those words. It's going to format them differently, though. I think that's great. You're trying to get a little product out. You're trying to get a little, little ebook or something going. Dude, knock yourself out. Like, it should be helping you do things better. I have a crazy take about AI, and maybe this could be a plug for not the next episode, but the episode maybe after that. Mm-hmm. I've got a crazy take on AI. I was talking to my wife, and she was talking a little bit about like some of her thoughts about AI. She's not sold on. It takes a while to get her to be sold on something, and we kind of talk about it and talk about some other people's thoughts on it that we've heard. And I was like, think about people like George Washington. George Washington was, I mean, the richest guy in America at like 22 or 23 or whatever. Very powerful, very well known, very smart. And he has like at that point, it was like 8,000 acres or whatever at, Mount Vernon. And it's now like 500 or 600 or whatever that they actually like use still as that. And the rest of it's been donated to the charity that actually runs that place. I'm sorry, George Washington was not managing 8,000 acres of land. George Washington was managing none of it.
Right.
And yet it was producing crops for a bunch of people near him. And he was still having great hospitality there. You know what George Washington had and was using? Now, here's my thing. This is supposed to be, what I'm about to say is supposed to be a little ruffly, supposed to ruffle some feathers. It's not actually, this is not exactly what I am saying, but it is supposed to sound a little ruffly. George Washington had slaves. Use AI like a slave. So now, George Washington also could have had employees.
Right.
So if you have paid labor, that's better. And some of his slaves were paid. No, I don't know all the details if all of them were paid or not, but slaves in general usually not paid. Well, hello. How many people do you think he had working there? Lots of people managing things like cooking, cleaning, the property, farming, his animals. He had lots of horses, and he had lots of other animals too. You got other livestock, you got sheep, you got chickens, you got pigs, you got cows, you got all these things. Well, he can't manage that while also somehow being the president and also fighting in wars and also just being in general a fantastic guy. That is too much. He delegated. AI, as long as you're able to pick the right section of things. So when I asked Mason this, she had a great answer, and it was not the answer I was looking for. I was like, "What went down when we got rid of slavery?" She said cotton, and I was like, "Wow, that's crazy." But what actually went down, in my opinion, is we went down in the number of men who were authors and who were scholars. Mm-hmm. We lost that. We lost people who, and we still have some, but we lost guys who were able to be super invested in their community while also still doing a bunch of learning. So a bunch of reading and writing and publishing their own stuff. We kind of lost that. And we ended up with, now I don't actually have a problem with corporate America. I think capitalism is good, and I think that people who want a stable job is also good. But I do think that more guys should be looking at, how do I get myself more time to be reading and learning and writing? Or just straight up being in the Word. We have people who are stuck in and this is some people really like the 9-to-5 structure. They really like the stableness of the steady paycheck and things like that. That is good. That's not a bad thing. We want entrepreneurs are people that build that option for those people. So that's good. Paid labor is that. You need a job, you need money. Well, let me offer you that. But that is the thing. You pay $20 a month. You could have, maybe not $20 a month. You probably need to pay for the higher one. But you can have employees doing work for you, and you're not paying all of them, $20 an hour.
Right.
You're paying $20 a month for 15 employees potentially. I'm sorry. How is that not good? And obviously, depending on the work, right? And so that's the thing. Sometimes you do need physical people to do stuff. I mean, the first thing popping in my mind, masonry. AI can't actually be a good mason for you. There is the handcrafted pieces of furniture or of, again, masonry. Those things it's tangible. You can tell somebody did this. Somebody had their hands on this. There's lots of little niche work that you don't need that for. Accountants are gonna be irrelevant unless AI crashes again. But that's the thing. Who's teaching the AI models accounting? Hello, the accountants. So accountants that made systems and protocols that then they uploaded into their AIs, that's the only reason they know how to do it. So you still need the humans. This is why AI is not actually going to take over the world. It can't. Because as long as, the thing is, AI is really only going to stay as good as the information we can give it.
Right.
AI is not going to just become some crazy, it is not operating on its own like soul, or it has its own vision. It doesn't. Its limit is the information that we can give it. Yes, it's very smart. It can have all the information basically in the entire world. That means it's a great tool. It's not going to take us over. It physically can't actually run the world. It can't. It can run lots of the little niche parts, but the people that make the world work, because it's not going to do a good job as a lawmaker. It's not going to do a good job as a judge.
Right.
Because you do still need the personal pieces of that, because the Lord is personal and his law and his judgment is personal. AI is not personal. You can ask it to be as personal as it can get, and it's going to sound pretty close. But can you actually be friends with it? No, you can't actually be friends with it. It can't actually do that for you. And so, again, we need, like, when we got to go on the East Coast trip and we went to the Pennsylvania State House, which is Independence Hall. And you're thinking about all those guys who are in there making massive decisions for sake of what is now way more estates than they ever thought they were going to have. Sorry for the pause. There is, the window is slightly open, and at this property there are people that can go shoot down on the lower end, and there's a lot of shooting going on down there. But like, this is one of the things. There are a lot of artistic nature things that we should want to be able to be doing more of. Being out in nature, taking dominion of your property and your land. Taking dominion, going out and shooting. Going out and learning how to do those things. Well, there's not a lot of time to do those things if you're also doing all the other stuff. So, like, what can you automate? So again, my take is treat AI like a slave, because it is. It's a tool. That is what slaves were thought of, was as a tool. I am not saying slavery is good. Do not take it that direction, but treat it as a slave, and treat people like employees. Like, if you actually have people as employees, we'll obviously treat them like people. So, right. But that is the thing. Slaves were looked at as just tools, not actual people, which is terrible. That's horrible. And also, well, let's say they weren't slaves. Let's say they were all paid employees. Well, that's the reason those guys could get all their stuff done, is because they weren't doing all the other things also. So there's some delegation. But that's a much longer episode, because there's different ways you could talk about that as well.
Right.
What else do you got for me?
I guess just to finish off, some dad advice.
Yes.
Since we still haven't gotten any comments.
We got one.
We got one comment.
Ooh. Which actually, this episode, we can actually do what that one comment said.
Yeah.
So, my grandma, this is just perfect, because this is what every startup podcast or YouTube channel is. You get 4 likes, and one of them is your mom, and one of them is your grandma. Right. No, but she had commented that Sam keeps giving dad advice, and I beg for dad advice. So, Sam, give me some dad advice. What do I do?
So, as regards the talent show, I'm not going to say make your kid do anything for the talent show, but I will say, help inspire your kid to enjoy the talents that God gives her.
Yeah.
And to cultivate those, whether or not they're for like a talent show, like it's a fun talent. They could be like, I don't know, maybe she really enjoys wood carving. I don't know many women who do, but
maybe
soap carving.
Yeah.
I don't know, but like, cultivate whatever talents she has that you see could be very God honoring, and help cultivate those and help her learn where she can grow in those.
Yeah, will do. I love it. Look at that. I just got my first real dad advice. Oh, that's not actually
That's
true
funny because you're
on
the
this
dad
podcast.
here.
I know. Well, I'm the dad of a week and a day old, so
Right.
not a whole lot of
Experience.
dad advice in terms of the parenting side of things. But yeah, I mean, I think that's a good word. And I think the thing is, I think the reason that both of us were actually able to do some kind of advice giving or whatever is we both actually have fantastic dads. And that is fine. Call it biased, whatever you want. But like it actually is true. If you can ask people that know our dads, they'd probably tell you the same. Um, we have good examples, and we want to follow those examples, and we want to improve on what they've given, and um, they're not done giving either. So that's the thing. It's should be hard to catch your parents. Should be hard to catch them. And if you've already passed your parents, which some of the listeners have, you need to help inspire your parents to be running faster than you. But you then also should be trying to keep up and like stay in front of them. That is the weird thing about it being a race is we're both supposed to encourage encourage each other, but we also are competing to some extent. So like yeah, get your act together and run faster. So there is, and yeah, it's not that simple, but it's also that simple. It is, yeah, there are some things that are harder to adjust to than that, but also not that crazy. Like I was telling Basin, I was like, yeah, having the kid is interesting because she hasn't really like she's obviously changed some stuff, but when you stop viewing it as now our life is revolving around this child. No, the child is plugged into your life now. It is not the other way around. That should even out a little bit of the stress. That should the only time I really got nervous, there were a couple times where I was nervous because like I had some things to finish here. I really got nervous on Friday afternoon. Like when I got home, I started to feel not very good. I think that ended up actually sending my body into some kind of sickness for a little while. Like I totally threw up on Sunday and it did not feel good. Finally got it back together about Tuesday or Wednesday, started to feel better. I feel way better now. But that was not because it was like my whole life is changing. My whole life is not changing, actually. I added to my life.
Right.
My life is not that different, actually. And actually, weirdly, neither is Basin's. So now there might be some people like, what do you mean? She's breastfeeding. Like, everything's hard. Like, okay, yes, there is service and there is nurturing and raising the child, but like, that's our job.
Right.
It didn't change. We have stepped up into our next level. And the baby is, obviously very excited to have our baby, very excited to raise her in the nurture and admonition of the Lord, very excited to see what she does in the long run. I'm excited to be friends with my kid. Well, like, there's a lot of years in between then of fully being friends with them and raising them and loving them and like, your life's really not that different. Your life should not be that different with kids. Your schedule is going to be more busy. Yes. And you're probably not going to sleep very much at the beginning, which actually, that has not actually been very true for us. Baby's sleeping really good, really healthy, doing a great job. Very chill. And so like, you're probably not going to sleep. Schedule's busy. You're going to do things that you probably don't want to do. And also, it's fantastic. And you should still be trying to build other stuff. So, like, that's why I'm here podcasting, because I am not actually glued to, let me put a bubble around this baby. No, baby actually needs to be okay if she's up here and it's kind of loud. and she needs to be okay with napping in somewhere that's a little bit loud. This is anti-fragile. Stop making, the road for the kid, trying to pave the road, trying to smooth it out. Just make your kid tougher. It's actually simpler. It's actually simpler to do that. It's not easier, but it is simpler to do that. And it doesn't work to smooth the road out for the kid. Right. Eventually, you run into gravel with a lot of potholes, and you can't do anything about it.
Well, you can. Your kid won't.
Well, but even so, like, you're gonna, in the corporate workplace, let's say, kid gets a 9 to 5 somewhere. The world doesn't care that your mommy is like, no, you can't talk to them like that. What? They don't care. Like, the world does not care. Sin does not care. You have to make your kid ready to be able to handle that. So I like your dad advice. I just gave dad advice. But again, that's the point. Like, we have been paying attention to our parents, and we've been paying attention to your kids, and even to ourselves and what we want our families to be like. And that puts us in the position to humbly say things like, well, you guys are doing a bad job, or it's going great. So we're excited. We'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks for listening.
Choice Man signing off.
Peace.